Loves Cassia. Other than Cassia, though, I mean, I'm excited for the 2.0 stuff to come in as well, like the sprays. They're pretty cool.
The animated sprays with the thumbs up. That's my go-to right now. I've been trying to figure out which is like, you know what's like it's kind of BM, but you can't accept it as BM on initial thought. That's what I'm looking for in my animated spray. I haven't figured out which one I'm going with yet, but it's got to be the one where it's like, it looks like I'm going to compliment you, but I'm not at the same time. I'm letting you know it's like slight rude. Like the hearts. The hearts might be a good one.
I like the hearts.
Where it's kind of like, love you, but it's like secretly when the person sends that after you kill them, they're like, oh, seriously? You're going to just drop the heart and walk away?
Yeah, it's like a whole new way of B-stepping.
It is.
Almost. I'm pretty pumped. You know what else I'm excited for is the mid-season brawl, of course, too. We're waiting to see who else is going to qualify, along with Combox SEA, who is the first team to qualify for the mid-season brawl, but we are going to be playing through playoffs, which is the first time we'll have anything like this ladder system that we'll play through. So #1 seed from every major region here in North America, too, which is what Tempo Storm is fighting for, that they get to automatically qualify, but everyone else, 6th place and on, plays through. So here you can see mid-season brawl, all of the teams, all of the regions that will be represented. We've got 2 teams each from Korea, Europe, North America, and China. Combox SEA representing Southeast Asia, and then still a team from Taiwan, Latin America, and Australia, New Zealand. So very normal, what people would expect to see, the amount of teams and who will be represented there. Yeah,
Combox actually is a pretty big advantage, much like China has had for most global tournaments. The fact that they qualify for so long, it's going to be, you know, a couple of patches later before anybody sees them, so no draft data going to be available for them at the midseason brawl. It's an advantage for them, and they're already a relatively strong region out of, you know, kind of the smaller regions, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them. Yeah,
and a lot of the members have previous experience at international events. They were 4 members, played for Imperium Pro Team, who represented the region at BlizzCon this last year. So it's very cool to see those members continuing on, finding a new team, getting ready, and coming back strong, beating Resurgence even as well. But we are ready to get back into our game. Game #1 returns, goes back underway between these 2 teams.
So just to fill you guys in on what has happened before the pause, the answer is, other than a kill, not too much. We just had our first Punisher of the game pushing through mid. She is just gone. Yeah, okay, so here's another one. If the Immortals have 2 different genders, then do the Punishers? I don't know, it feels like it. The red and the blue. Belith is it's a girl Immortal.
No.
No? You know, is this a male's name, for real?
Have you ever listened to the voices?
You go off the voice? I was just going off the name. Belith is a female name, right?
No!
No? I've never... What's the other one's name?
Have you ever heard of the name Belith ever in your life, other than that?
I feel like, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but...
I think you're thinking of Bella.
It's close enough. It gets the job done.
Not so much.
Okay, well, I'm just saying
one is a name from a franchise that is for teenagers, and one is an awesome, super cool, super evil demon.
It's just... I just wanted to know if the Punishers have different genders. I'll be honest. That's all I was looking for here.
You know who would probably is going to let us know, but could also let us know at home?
Who, in fact, is going to let us know, Gilly?
I think people at home could let us know via Twitter using the hashtag HGC. We've already learned so much about medieval weaponry, Leoric, Johanna. I'm sure they can teach us all about Ilarion and Belith, the immortals of Battlefield of Eternity.
I'm sure they can.
I have faith in our viewers.
I really do. You know, we've gotten enough feedback when it comes to things like this that I'm very confident that I'll be able to walk away today and be able to lose my soul to my Twitter feed and all the answers telling me why whatever I said today was just idiotic. You know, it's become a classic routine after HGC now, where I just take a minute to be like, here, insert one dumb thing Dread said, and here's the internet telling me why it was so stupid.
HGC viewers are truly the best viewers ever. I love the Heroes community, seriously. You guys are awesome. As are our teams. We've got heroic ability because we're at level 8 for Team 8, and it is Slowing Sands, Dread.
It is only the heroic ability, though, of the Chromie. 10 Skeletal Defenders are going to be here for Superstars, but they got the Dahaka there up in the top lane. Drain Hope's going to miss for Srey. It's a cooldown you do not want to miss this early on, not up until even later, honestly, you don't want to miss it. It's just too long of a cooldown for how core it is to the kit of Leoric. Forces them back for a moment, but they should be able to move back up here once it's off.
Ghastly Reach, not normally the choice of level 7 for Stray, but it is going to give him more reach with the Skeletal Swing. Nice Detainment Strike hits Yoda, but the Chromie poke is too much. Leoric gets taken out. Goku getting low, getting chased down by Team 8, has to burrow, gets caught in the slowing sands. Down drops Dragon Breath, and 2 kills for Team 8.
Goku goes down along with it, but 37 Skeletal Defenders, 38. The Detainment Strike against the wall. Yoda loses his life, and this is going to be a Punisher picked up here for Superstars as Stray returns from the dead, but not in a position to be able to get anything to happen. And without that Entomb up at that point in time, no big plays yet. Here is another Punisher going over for Superstars.
Heroic abilities available for both teams. Reign of Vengeance over Strafe for Superstars. Usually, I feel like a lot of times we see Strafe since it does help Ariel keep her energy up a lot more. What do you think of that choice?
Yeah, Strafe is usually the go-to, so that is going to hurt the reliable burst. Whenever you have Vala Ariel and a Strafe is dropped, if she gets a full channel and it's a good Strafe, it's almost 2 full like hope bars worth of healing. So that she'll still have a lot because she has Zarya. She can get heavy damage out with her positioning everywhere else, but it does make it like you can kind of bank on just bursting your opponent down while keeping everybody else on your team's HP up, so that you won't have that huge turn moment that you can normally have with the Zarya, Ariel, and Vala, excuse me.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, but it will allow Faye to try to make sure that they have maintained control and lockdown too. She can follow up as well with the Entomb.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Drop that down inside and just deal a lot of line damage in that little box square of Entomb.
Yeah, it's a really deadly duo whenever you get the right targets. It oftentimes does seem to be a little too idealistic. A lot of the times when Leoric even originally released, everybody saw Rain, and you're like, man, that's a lot of burst, because Rain was just getting buffed at that point in time, and you drop it down, and you, in theory, can just burst somebody to death, but most of the time, it does help, but it's not, again, enough to get that. Vala kind of gets out of position a little bit, so we'll see how it works out. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but it is just one of those, again, it's not what you typically can hold true to a game with this kind of variation for the Ariel and Tassadar Vala.
Maybe if Chromie is the target for Entomb and she would like to pick Bye-Bye, then the Reign of Vengeance to be able to stop her from going away, but there's always timeout.
Yeah, timeout's it's a thing.
It's a 7-second stasis that you can end voluntarily whenever.
Yeah, but you know, I've had this conversation with Trick probably about 37 billion times about bye-bye versus timeout and which one you go. Because he's the Chromie guy, and he's always like, you know, bye-bye, it's too good. You wave at your opponents, and you talk trash as you teleport back home.
It's the reason why he's getting some Gale Force Esports merchandise.
It sure is. But yeah, timeout is like, how I've often viewed timeout since Chromie's release is, if you pop timeout for the entire duration, and you didn't manage to find a position for your team to save you, you deserve to die in the first place. Like, you just flat out
You were a tank, Chromie.
You're right. You're like, well, I could have gotten out of that a bye-bye. And the answer most of the time is like, yeah, but if you couldn't have gotten out of it with timeout, you probably just really messed up and should be kind of reevaluating your positioning in life.
Yeah, especially here versus the composition that Team 8 has. They've got Entomb with Detainment Strike, which is the build a wall and be able to stun up against it. Now there's Reign of Vengeance too. There's Expulsion Zone. And then there's still drags from Dahaka too. So I think that'll be a likely choice for Chromie, although if Prismaticism is feeling very strong, maybe he'll just take neither and go for reaching through time instead.
It seems like that has been more of the standard for Chromies across the 13. We have seen, I want to say, every single version of a 13 of Chromie competitively played between North America and Europe only. And even with that, it does feel like the increased range is her go-to. Passing through time just seems to be too good, especially into a Leoric. I can see them going for more onto the I'd rather stay farther back than risk getting stuck into that, what is going to be not the funnest Entomb I've ever been a part of, with Detainment Strike and Reign of Vengeance being thrown all over, and Expulsion Zone. Like, they've got just a little of everything. The indoor trampoline.
We'll see. Yeah, the trampoline. I love Entomb with Expulsion Zone. That is a very cool combo that our viewers named, one of our viewers. Justine is going to try to charge in. Follow up to Expulsion Zone to zone away. Stray stays alive. Teammate controlling the kills so far, but Superstars have gotten a lot of damage started between the two Punishers they've been able to take care of. So far, Teammate hasn't been able to push Superstars off of the shrines with their zoning control enough to be able to get the Punishers of their own.
But now that 10's online, we get to, you know, see if that is still going to hold true once the heroics are going to be a thing. Cursed Bullet is going to put a lot of threat onto Srey there on the front line. Leoric is pretty squishy, but losing at this point in time, it's only 30% of his maximum HP. 35% of his max HP. Trying to figure out which version we're on. Yeah, so the 35% of his maximum HP gone. It's scary, but it's only going to be a Leoric. And again, if he gets off the proper Entomb, it's more of, does the threat that provides onto him mixed with the Cocoon to somebody else, is that going to net teammate a kill?
Who do you think the Cocoon target would be best for teammate? Who are they hoping to get? Is it Ariel so that she can't save somebody with Crystal Aegis?
Yeah, ideally you want to drop Cocoon on Ariel and then focus down whatever person gets Cursed Bullet, just because that is going to remove way too much of their max HP. They are your most reliable kill target. The difficulty with that, though, is that Chromie needs to make sure that she actually hits the same target that the Cursed Bullet goes into, and usually it's unreliable unless they're taunted, which conveniently is going to be Leoric. Drop the Wraith Walk out. The poke is going to hit a max range coming out from Prismat. Gets the W off the Dragon's Breath, and that is going to be another kill.
Buds did a fantastic job putting Srey in the corner to start this Shrine phase.
Nobody puts Srey in a corner.
Leoric, exactly. He'll be back up in just a few seconds and ready to go on this Shrine. And there is still the poke possibilities for Superstars, which are quite good. And they have 13, slightly ahead of Teammate, though with that kill, Teammate is closing in on the same talent tier.
For the first time in this game, we do see Teammate have a small advantage on those skeletal defenders, but not looking like it's going to last long. They're questioning if they want to move up. They go in, drop the taunt onto Srey, follow up CC. Wraith Walk out, and he's going to be fine. Cocoon was used too. If they only lose Leoric, that might be okay, but if they lose more, Hosty eats the Cursed Bullet. He drops the shielding onto himself, but Iacona with the Tainment Strike was enough to peel off. They're going to be fine for now. Superstars tapping, and then looking to go back in.
Zarya has unstoppable competitor to try to help herself out with her own cleanse despite the rest. That was a nice burrow charge from Yoda to start things off. Sound Barrier goes down too to keep everyone alive from Team 8, but the poke has yet to push Superstars off this Shrine fully. Superstars, between having Vala as a battery for Ariel, taunt hits, Srey in trouble, Detainment Strike, Srey drops.
He does end up going down. Goku trying to retreat. Glorn getting the disengage, actually allowing Buzz to get hit by that drag, and it costs him his life. Superstars still showing signs of life here, and we've got ourselves some more skeletal defenders that must be dealt with. Chromie Bot's positioning obviously not on point there as she goes down.
Expulsion Zone catches, and that will finally be enough kills for Superstars to take out the rest of the defenders from the Shrine, and this will be an Arcane Punisher spawning into existence for Superstars. No gate to be able to bait this out behind. Goku has done a fantastic job of pushing this top lane relentlessly to make sure that he can keep the pressure going. So this will be a fort, the first fort of the game, taken out by Superstars, who are starting to amass a level lead.
So now that this is the second time that we have seen a player getting kind of knocked out in the crucial point of a game, I figured I'd break down as to what are our rules on playing with a bot here for HGC.
Thank you.
What that is that we have, in total, a team can take a large amount of time, I believe it to be 10 minutes worth of time out. And if they go past that point, then we have to play the game. It's just you weren't able to show up, and so the entire time here we see Prismat is trying to be able to join back into this game here, but whether or not he'll make it in time, we do not know. For now, it's going to be a 4 versus 5 plus Chromie bot, but we saw what Urho was able to do with his bot.
Yeah, Murden bot was extremely tanky when he needed to be, and great control from the members of No Tomorrow to make sure that he didn't dive too deep from that. Superstars now 16. Teammate tried to get the engagement right before Superstars hit this talent tier. Cocoon was thrown out and caught, and then Varian charged in behind that with taunt, but the problem was that, first of all, Chromie bot and some of the other members of Team 8 were still defending in the back, clearing up, and Superstars too were able to separate the team apart with Expulsion Zone. So nice usage of that heroic from Hosty so far. Srey may go down here.
Wraith Walk OP.
Yes, Leoric.
But he is Leoric. You know, the guy just never seems to really, truly die. You know what would be an interesting fact to think about? How many times does the Leoric actually go to base in a game? Compared to every other hero Also, it just feels like his, because of he's being self-sustaining for the most part, he's usually not going too often. He's probably one of the least backing, because even when he dies, he doesn't spawn there.
Doesn't go there either.
I can't think of a single time on Leoric I've backed while I'm dead. Like, there's only been like 2 in my entire life. There's very rarely do you end up backing. It's just, I don't know, it's stuff I think about in my downtime.
Dreadnought shower thoughts for the win. Sray steps on the point, expulsions on 2, taunt hits Leoric again, detainment strike through justing back, so Sray is going to Wraith walk away, not willing to give up his life to try to get just a Kazra camp to give experience to teammate as well. Superstars have the experience advantage. Dahaka this whole time has just been relentlessly pushing this top lane.
He's been, very unforgiving there, even, getting some damage onto the keep itself in the top lane. But another shrine is going to spawn. Superstars even getting some more pressure out before the objective up, getting this camp. Should draw a bit of attention, only for a couple of seconds on the side of Team 8. As this next Punisher with no fort up for Team 8, it is absolutely crucial that they end up getting this one for themselves. They've lost every other one up until this point.
Yeah, they have, and it's just because Superstars have such good control. But every time Team 8 get a kill on Sray at the start, and this time it's a longer cool respawn time, as well as the fact that they did it right at the start of the Shrine 2. So we'll see how much Team 8 can get done before Sray respawns, but they're catapulting ahead right now, 25-7 with the Skeletal Defender. Sray's still not back. He's trying to cheat death as much as he can, but 17 seconds left. Banner showing where the rest of the members of Superstars are, but Dahaka's in the bottom, so Superstars understand they have to give this up, and this will be the first Punisher teammate is able to claim.
It will be the first. What can they get from it, though, is going to be the biggest thing here. It's going to rely on a lot of poke coming out from the Chromie, because just everybody else is so melee focused. Freeman trying to clear up the minions to be able to aid this in. The Punisher. Minion damage is something you always want when you siege up. If you can take the time to be able to back up and help them, they are so underestimated. For all you players who've been playing before the minion changes, you can probably understand the difference of impact that they've had since they've been buffed. But now the Punisher going up to the keep wall. Who's going to bait it over? Sray, will anything be gained by teammate other than this keep front wall? Doesn't seem like it. They're just passively going to siege up.
Well, the gate went down, taunt hit, but it's Sray who's always in the front of the pack. He's always There, they did get a kill. Teammate take out Leoric. That's 53 seconds, give or take whatever Sray can try to bring back by cheating death. And Team 8, whereas it looked like they would just get the front wall here, have to contend with Goku, but Glaurung's going full in on the keep.
Yeah, Goku actually driving to the back. Glaurung got the keep. Goku's trying to chase him down to be able to get the kill. The Symbiosis value here as he's hitting a lot of people. Sound barrier drops, hit all 5 members of Team 8. The slowing sands, allowing Hosey not to get in range to support out.
Chromie bot! She hits those skill shots.
Chromie bot is Chromie bodying right now.
Another kill too! Chromie bot did go down. It's a brawl at this point. Iacona detainment strikes, but now has to deal with Glaurung, who is on the chase, on the prowl.
Oh, the flask over the wall. Not like this. He's dead. He's dead.
Rain of Vengeance.
Oh, he missed the cursed bullet. He tried for it. The Rain of Vengeance peel was a thing. Thought for sure he was not going to get out of there. Team 8 has gotten the first keep of this game. They are not out of it yet. And they're going to be able to pick up this front wall. The race to 20 is still, not in their favor, but they should be able to turn that around here with that 20 seconds where they have no Zarya left onto the map, especially if this fort falls.
Teammate understanding that the next Punisher will be in not the mid lane, trying to take down whatever structures they can, getting them closer to 20, as well as opening up the battleground so that they can push if they win the next Punisher too.
Superstars is just the entire game been very comfortable. I guess not the entire game. When things go bad, they just seem to be sending off Goku off into his own land, just getting that side soak, and it has kept them ahead in the experience. But it does give me a bit of fear, because one thing that like we used to see with Zeratul, for instance, globals are a very forgiving way to play the game, which can allow you to feel like you're a part of a game maybe longer than you actually are, because again, just the side soak and extra experience that you get. We're going to have to take a minute here. This party shrub is real. The taunt goes down instantly, and Aegis coming out from Iacona, but is it enough? Faye keeps herself alive. Sound barrier is going to be used here for Team 8 as Sray picks on the Chromie, and she's going to fall here. So one person down. while Dahaka has been side soaking top the entire time. Is this the Entomb?
Entomb, nope, gets hit just in time, but Goku's there. Taunt stops him from dragging somebody who Goku finds tasty with that tongue. The Shaman pushing in the top lane toward the keep of Team 8, as well as Chromie being lost and level 20 not quite achieved, means Team 8 has to step back for now. 10 skeletal defenders so far and rising do Superstars have with their own Storm tier talents.
This is not looking good for Team 8. This pushing through bottom is just going to... we're at the point where these Punishers actually are lethal, right? They aren't 100%. It all comes down to how many kills you manage to get because they're so easily baited to, for instance, a mid keep in this circumstances, but it's the first one that we see which very much could end the game. Superstars, though, is splitting Dahaka out to rid of the Shaman camp up on top while the rest of them move on to bottom, so that will set them behind. Just because they're afraid of ridding the Shaman camp, I can understand that, but I feel like they should have been a little more patient on the shrine itself, right? No need for them to capture this if they aren't going to rotate Dahaka instantly down.
We'll see how long it takes for him to brush stock in. Once again, Impale stops Stray from maybe getting the money in tune that would allow Superstars to start the fight to win the game. Detainment Strike throws back Chromie out of the expulsion zone. Entomb to Chromie stays alive, and now this Punisher is dropping rapidly in health. The Gilnean cocktails are taking out a lot of the members of Superstars. Yoda would love to keep going with this fight, but the rest of Team 8 not ready to follow up just yet, and Superstars on the retreat.
Yeah, he went as far as to, get the Cocoon out there to try and force that fight, and wasn't able to get it just from the easy clear of Superstars. And you can see Justing, everybody's so desperate on Team 8 to try and get an initiation. They may be able to get one here. 13 seconds for the Entomb. Dahaka has no burrow. That's not true. He's got Apex Predator. It's up in about 5 seconds, so he's going to be just fine. And Superstars is fine as they did not get picked on that retreat. Team 8 has to find a way here to get a pick somewhere on the map. Sray has been in pretty easy focus fire for them, and everybody else has been a lot harder to be able to get a pick on. You know, try and rid of Leoric and then capitalize on the small advantage of having him down. What can you get with that? Look for another objective, and if they make that happen, I feel like they've got a shot.
Yeah, the last time that Team 8 had a good shot of taking someone out, but Crystal Aegis was on point, and then follow-up Expulsion Zone and shielding from Zarya kept Vala alive, despite the scary positioning that she was in. Shrine will be spawning here very quickly. Team's trying to get pressure out on the battleground for that point. Dahaka clearing out the mid too, and that mercenary camp will help as well.
The 4 members of Superstars here on bottom trying to threaten, like, hey, we have interest in your keep. We would like this if you are as, so kind to be able to give that up over to us. While Dahaka getting the soak elsewhere. I thought Superstars might be a bit more aggressive there. They definitely are in a position to kind of dictate more control over that, but that's something that it feels like only Tempo Storm truly kind of has a grasp on, right? When they decide that they want an objective, it's pretty apparent that they're like, this is going to be ours, and if not, you are definitely going to respect our positioning. Where as Superstars there, you saw them look for it, they were like, we really want this keep, but they're like, only if you'll hand it to us?
Yeah, can we actually do it? Are we willing to make that commitment?
Dahaka committed to the bottom keep.
He did brush stock down there too, so a little bit of time where they were waiting for the Apex Predator to come back up. Superstars starting to move onto the point, clear out, help the Bruisers, the Shaman along the way, but Team 8 again finding themselves with a lead in skeletal defenders.
Also, Sray with the Hardened Shield doesn't have the kill potential, as he normally would with the Spectral Leech, so he's not going to be able to threaten out that front line, but he's going to need it when he gets Curse Bulleted, because, as we've seen time and time again this game, he is so quickly just rid of Goku, doing his job on bottom.
Nobody's come back to stop him either, and so as long as Superstars don't lose anybody, Stray's the only one even in range to do so. Now Goku comes back in, they're going after Chromie once again. Chromie gets taken out, Entomb on 2. Buds has already broken down, the beat has been dropped, and it is not enough to keep all of Team 8 alive. Superstars pushing their way onto this shrine.
Oh, but Glaron goes in onto Faye. Beautiful, Aegis there from Iacona. Justing's out of position. They're trying to get the slows on him, and the Punisher was captured by teammates. So there goes the Burrow onto 2. Hosty goes down. They are not done either. Goku got taunted there, and he has no way out. That is now 2 members dead, so a 2-for-1 teammate pulling ahead. They've got the Punisher. They've got 3 catapults building on mid. Team 8 suddenly has an opportunity to possibly win this game.
Superstar stayed for too long here and found the wrath of the Punisher. Yes, they were able to take down Akipo. They still had a fort in this lane, but they didn't back off enough in time, and now they don't have Dahaka. They don't have Zarya, and the Punisher's still pretty healthy. Stray can bait it with Wraithwalk, and that is what he will do, but Team 8 are ready to go for the jugular.
It's all about how much damage goes on to that Punisher itself, falling now to 50% as the keep ends up going down here 23 minutes into game number 1. The taunt landing onto Face. Ray taking a lot of damage. Split focus coming out here from Team 8, and the Punisher is not even found onto the core yet. The shielding is removed. This is last chance for Superstars as they get leaped on by the Punisher. Sound barrier dropped, and I don't think they've got it.
Cocoon was so good on Faye, the primary damage dealer of Superstars, and playing with a Chromie bot. Team 8 finds a way to take game 1.
I asked when today started, how far did Team 8 fall? And, you know, I think this is it. We found it. The fact that they, even with Chromibot in that game, holding their composure and still being able to win that game does not look good for the rest of the series for Superstars.
It does not, but it was only game 1. It was a battleground chosen by Team 8, a place they feel confident with, a composition they feel confident with, and we wondered about Leoric, too, for the primary warrior. For the composition of Superstars, they wanted this 3-warrior composition, but both sides have same and similar favored warriors, so maybe some sort of change will come in for that in the drafting of the next game.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that plays out. And then also the focus on the melees we saw none of from both teams in that last series, so now maybe that would be the direction that Superstars tries to move towards, not let Glorong be on a hero we know him to be comfortable on, even on the Greymane.
Well, that closes out game 1. After this, we'll return for game number 2. Stay tuned.
The Isle of Skobos is the home to the reclusive Ascari and their Amazon warriors. Long ago, their oracles predicted the dark exile of the primevals and foresaw an Amazon would someday rise to fight them. Alongside a group of valiant heroes, Cassia defeated Diablo and his brothers and returned home after the World Stone's destruction. Now the war matron and commander of the Amazon army, Cassia brings a lifetime of martial knowledge to the Nexus. Cassia is a highly aggressive ranged assassin whose defenses mitigate even the strongest physical attacks. Cassia's trait is avoidance. While on foot, Cassia automatically gains a large amount of physical armor as long as she's moving, significantly reducing the damage of physical attacks used against her. Her Q ability, Lightning Fury, hurls a javelin that deals damage to the first enemy it hits and splits into 2 lightning bolts that pierce through enemies in their path. Cassia's next ability, Blinding Light, calls down a flash of light from the heavens that blinds enemies in a target area. As a passive effect, Cassia's attacks and abilities deal bonus damage to all blinded targets. Next up is Fend. Cassia rushes towards a target and unleashes a flurry of stabs with her javelin, dealing damage to anything in a small cone around her target. This ability deals bonus damage to heroes. Her first heroic ability is Ball Lightning. Upon activation, Cassia summons a sphere of energy that bounces between enemies, dealing damage to each one it hits. Only the greatest Amazons can call down a Valkyrie. When summoned, the Valkyrie rushes towards Cassia, impaling and stunning the first enemy hero it contacts and drags them closer to Cassia's javelins. Since Cassia's trait Avoidance grants her physical armor while moving, she can be incredibly powerful against certain heroes like Vala, Raynor, or Illidan. With precise use of her blinding light ability, she can force enemies to miss their attacks, giving her an even stronger advantage. If you're facing an enemy Cassia, roots and stuns are a particularly effective way to shut down her trait. Blinding Light's passive effect allows Cassia to deal bonus damage to blinded targets and boosts both her auto attacks and her abilities. Additionally, she gains this bonus damage no matter which hero blinds the enemy. Partnering up with heroes like Lili, Johanna, or Artanis can allow Cassia to unleash an incredible amount of damage very quickly. Despite being a ranged assassin, Cassia's basic attack range is slightly shorter than most other ranged heroes. Use her Lightning Fury to poke enemies from a distance, and when you need to get in close, use Fend to rush in. Just be careful when and where you choose to engage, as Cassia doesn't have many options for escape. If you're facing an enemy team that tends to bunch up while claiming objectives, Ball Lightning is the perfect heroic to unleash. The ball deals damage as it bounces from enemy to enemy, but can also bounce between Cassia and her target if necessary. Doing so deals no damage to Cassia, but it is clearly less effective than allowing it to chain between enemies. The Valkyrie Heroic is a powerful tool that can allow Cassia to reposition enemy heroes and separate them from their team. When summoned, the Valkyrie always appears a set distance from Cassia, rushes towards her, and impales the first enemy hero she contacts, knocking any other heroes out of the way. Enemies are stunned during the ride and for a short time after, giving Cassia plenty of time to take them out of the fight. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Diablo, and after a long preparation, Cassia is charged up and ready to get back into some PvP. Be sure to leave us a comment or subscribe to Heroes of the Storm around the web, and we'll see you in the Nexus.
No harm shall come to this world.
Sombra, it's on you now.
I'm all over it.
See the full animated short at playoverwatch.com.
Team 8 winning game number 1 with the Chromie bot, and now we have some more information on that situation. Prismaticism, unfortunately, is not able to join back with us, so Team 8 will be playing with a sub for the remainder of the series.
You know, you might have heard of him. He just kind of won Heroes of the Dorm recently.
Yeah, I heard that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a minor tournament. Not too many people competed, but he came out on top. His name's Cure. Not captain? I don't know if he was captain. Either way,
yes.
A huge leader and influencer.
Shot caller.
And shot caller.
For UT Arlington's Heroes of the Dorm team.
Who just ended up winning. Also plays in open division. I mean, you know, they've got the proper sub. It's about as good as it gets when it comes to subs, actually.
Yeah, Kira will do a fantastic job filling in for Prismaticism, but of course you have to take into consideration the idea of comms, what a team is used to. We've had a couple of other subs so far, namely Superstars had to play with one in part 1.
You know, all he's got to do is hit more skill shots than Chromie Bot. That's about all you need.
It's hard to beat.
You know,
She got 3 kills in one, not one skill shot, but in one round.
Yeah, one rotation.
Yeah.
She single-handedly got 3 picks.
We'll see.
Too good.
We'll see how Kier does. We're ready for game number 2. And it's going to be on Battlefield of Eternity. Superstars is choosing first pick for this draft.
So we're going to the BOE. Not necessarily a map that I would consider as a strong suit for Superstars, but it very much is for Team 8. It felt like the first team out of part 1 to really put heavy emphasis on the BOE itself. I strongly give them favored for this, you know, especially after that last game.
I
again,
would too.
You know, struggling even into the bot. It just feels bad here. We're gonna find out though for the draft.
It really did come down to that one shrine though. Losing that team fight was just the nail in the coffin for Superstars in the last game. So hopefully they have given motivational speeches or grabbed a snack, whatever it is that Superstars does to bring back the morale for game number 2. Superstars have played one game on Battlefield of Eternity in part 2, and they did win it versus Freedom with a Valera. So we'll see if Team 8 allows that to come into play for Superstars.
Tassadar band still holding true, but not the Zarya. She was let through, so is Superstars. The answer is no, at least not yet. They're going to let the Zarya move itself through. What does Teammate want to do in the draft? See, the one thing that's cool about Zarya, or excuse me, not Zarya, but Teammate now in this draft, we have a totally different player. So Cure is going to have a different thought process. We might see some change in the draft for Teammate just to allow him to be more comfortable.
That's a great point you make. We know he played a lot of ranged heroes like Li Ming.
Yeah, he was a backliner for UTA.
Heroes of the Dorm, but right now Li Ming is not doing very well at all at the Heroes Global Championship of North America. 0 out of 10 games. She's been played in Part 2-1. And that would open up Superstars to maybe draft a new Barak against them, and we do know that Superstars like a new Barak. So this way, going for Greymane and Varian instead, our Teammate.
That is a very Teammate draft so far. Still sticking Glorong. Well, I guess we can't say that absolutely now that Cure is in, but I'm going to expect that's Greymane played by Glorong. So once again, putting Glorong onto that. They still have the option to move the Vendiv. They have the Varian, so they have the Portal Death Comp that we know Teammate has ran in the past on BOE. I think that's going to draw a ban for Superstars in the second ban phase, and allows for a flexibility on who's going to be the Greymane possibly. But either way, we see that Glorong's hero pool has shifted in Part 2. A lot more emphasis onto just Greymane, putting him there, remaining stable, less Glorong heroes, more just meta hero for Glorong.
Yeah, even again in the last game, a new Barak played by Yoda, the second warrior. That was not as much of a thing except for Zarya in Part 1. And Varian Teammate have picked him every single BOE game that they have played in Part 2. So sticking with that consistently. A new Li Ming was picked by Superstars, and adding to that a new Barak to make sure that that counter is not available for Teammate this time.
Yeah, that's a really strong rotation for Superstars. Maybe still lacking a bit when it comes to their front line. Up there with the new Barak, so he's not a bug who just gets squashed. But Lucio is the ban here for Team 8. Superstars, their thought process, already talked about it. I very much feel like a Medivh ban. It is weird because you see the Greymane and you go, well, that's probably Glorong. But then again, the Medivh terrifyingness, I'm more than confident somebody else on that roster plays the Greymane. They will put him on the Medivh if you give him the opportunity. We'll see if they ban it out. And even if they don't, maybe Teammate doesn't care. They're a new team. You know, they've changed. I think this is the test right here in this next rotation. If it gets banned, it does, and we walk away just being like, all right, nothing's really changed. But if it doesn't, what does Teammate pick up? Do they let it? All right, here we go. I'm ready.
Superstars checking out the drafts of Teammate. Saw that Teammate played Abathur Chromie the last time they played Battlefield of Eternity versus B-Step. And it worked very well. The poke of Chromie stalled out for a long time, B-Step being able to get Immortals, which enabled Abathur to get a lot of work done in the lanes. So that strategy is not available to Teammate.
Saying no, no. No Abathur here. And that Abathur pickup, we started Part 2 with the first note was like, wow, North America is way more macro-focused than it's ever been. And I think that Abathur just only, again, kind of falls in line with that trend that we are way more focused onto split pushing than we've been in a long while. Talking about split pushing, the hacker. I would really wish I had a very, I don't even know, hillbilly accent for that one, but just the hacker.
I don't.
You know. Be like, oh yeah, out back with the hacker.
Talk to me about that hacker.
Sounds like somebody talking about, like, I don't know, hacking on television. I heard he's a hacker. He's the hacker. I don't know, man. What happened?
It was fine, and then you hit that.
I was just, where is this going to go for Superstars? Anything stand out? I mean, it's got to be a support warrior, probably.
Arthas is still up.
I was going to say Arthas is still a thing, which is pretty crazy to think about, the fact that we made it this far in this draft.
Does Goku want to play another warrior here, though? Rhaegar, Zeratul, so no.
Okay. The Zeratul pickup. It's going to be able to help a little bit when it comes to the global pressure Dahaka puts out to be able to get that side soak. We've seen Zeratul played in that manner, but there's not too many heroes that are overly vulnerable. This last pick is going to be the easiest target for the Zeratul Li Ming duo. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of burst and initiation of team fights post-Void for Superstars draft with the Li Ming and Nubarak. It's just, we'll see how it plays out. It seems like a bit of risk here for Superstars.
If teammate wants something tanky as a ranged assassin, would they like Tychus here?
Tychus would be really good. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else, because Tychus does do well, holds his own. He's a little bit vulnerable to the poke, or my first crazy theory I came up with is going to hold true. All right, so Greymane is the last resort, essentially, is what I get from that now. Now that the Medivh was picked up when it let through in the right composition, they are willing to put Glaurung back on those heroes. They feel like he is still more influential for the team on those type of heroes and with those type of strategies.
You think that Greymane will be probably Cure, and then
and that will
Glaurung will play Medivh?
I'm willing to put money on Glaurung playing Medivh. That is the only one, which the rest of it suits out to where Cure would be the one on the Greymane. It's just, it shows that they did a smart play in the draft. Teammate really did with the Glaurung with the Greymane very early up, showing that, and then putting the Medivh later on. They did. I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact that I could sniff it out pretty quickly doesn't. it wasn't that mind-boggling, but it was cool what they were able to do. It just shows that they have a tier list for Glaurung on what heroes he can play. Obviously, we know the hero pool. It just goes down to they would rather put him on less meta, more Glaurung heroes whenever it's comfortable into a draft and somebody hands it to them. But if it's taken away at all, they view that as a small win just through drawing draft resources.
Superstars has Vala, Li Ming, and probably double Lightning Shield Rhaegar. So they have a lot of possibilities of attacking Immortals. So does teammate in this regard always have to defend with portals?
Kind of. So yes, it is way better for them to posture around defensively, but it's whenever the proper portal drops, everybody go in and play really offensive. So like, yes, they will be hanging out defensively way more often, but it doesn't mean that they can't move offensively, where most double warriors and like really defensive comps are just like, this is our home, this is where we stay, and hopefully you want to fight here.
Well, teammate are playing with portals in game number 2. We'll see how it works out for them as we head into Battlefield of Eternity.
Playing with portals. I like it.
Thank you. And Alarian and Beleth are here.
What is this?
This is some StarCraft music.
Is it really?
This is like Brax's Holdout.
I've realized actually.
You guys can't see, but Trent's just rocking out.
I've seen this. What I noticed is that since 2.0 and the voice lines are a thing, I realized I haven't played with music or any audio from characters in the game for like 2 years now. Like it was a long time ago that I just changed those settings and I never touched them. So now when I cast and I hear audio, I'm like, I haven't heard this before. Like unless it's the classic alpha menu song. Other than that, I was just like, I haven't heard this. What is this little thing?
Explains a lot about a lot of the conversations of the last game.
Where I just ask really dumb questions the entire time?
You said it, not me.
All right. Portal play already in action. Looks like it's going to be a 1-4, but the 4 is up in the northern lane this time. Everybody decided that they wanted to mix it up a bit. Superstars. Nobody actually really has an overly dominant 4-man. It's going to be probably a pretty passive laning phase.
Superstars doing work, at least to one of the towers, but Glaurung is here trying to gank Goku. Not finding that. Glaurung's going to make that rotation to the well just a little bit faster.
Oh, man. It's just a weird board to just casually drop here.
Let me help you.
I'm here to help. Front wall is going to be taken down here for Superstars. This is, when teammates' responses is something we've seen a lot more to losing 4-mans, and what that is just trying to capitalize elsewhere, run a 2 versus 1, and trying to capitalize there. It's just most of the time it doesn't pay off as much as the dominant 4-man, but it does pay off better than sending all 4 people to top and just slowly losing it over time. So.
Oh, Yoda is in trouble this rotation. Nice from Superstars. Burrow, charge, impale, Iacona, butt bites for the win. First blood for Superstars.
Right as the Immortal spawning, so worst case scenario here for Team 8, but they got a convenient spawn, got a race. A lot of damage here, actually. The fact that they're allowed to go 50-50 due to that spawn is a absolutely huge win here.
Yeah, that's very nice for Team 8, but Superstars are getting into position. We'll see if they can catch up. Make sure to, if Team 8 can catch up in time or just try to burn down the shielding. And the answer is burn down the shielding.
In case you ever wondered why Greymane is a hero on this map, you just learned. He just straight out damages about everybody on that race itself, even with Q build Vala, even with Lightning Bond Rhaegar and a Li Ming, everything, it did not matter. Greymane looked it in the eyes 4 versus 5 and said, "You are now mine."
Full Worgen build too for now. The big Tau will be at level 7. Talent choice there. And Magic Missile build for the Li Ming player, Faye. The biggest thing here is that there is no way of mana, being able to pick up mana. It should things go long into fights. She doesn't have Astral Presence or Power Hungry, but she will be able to deal with some of the damage that Team 8 can put out.
We saw right there the first portal in action. The minute it's dropped, everybody go through. Cure very quick to execute. Take out the pick there. Camp is going to be the reward, but Superstars actually starting their Shaman camp very, very early here. Not going with the traditional timing. So what I want to see from Superstars is them use the fact that they're getting this camp early to try and rotate elsewhere and get an advantage. Usually that's invading the other Shaman, but if it's not, it's at least ganking bottom, doing something. Be very proactive in this downtime because it's apparent you took that Shaman camp without it being perfect timing.
They're at least going to get a clear on the bottom camp, and they have 3 in the bottom to try to finish the 4th there, as well as maybe get a kill on Dahaka. Yeah, that's going to be a nice kill for Superstars, although Goku's being chased down by minions.
That was it. That was exactly what I wanted. The fact that they were looking to try and capitalize somewhere on the map, but it did cost them a front wall up on top. Most of the time, if you can take that fight without it being a sieging trade is most optimal, just because, again, then if you actually do get the win, you didn't lose something elsewhere on the map. But it is very common whenever you see teams take camps that are mistimed, it's with the intent of drawing a resource or rotation somewhere. Much like, I don't know, the most iconic example between you and I that we talk about all the time is like L5 Sky Temple rotation down to bottom.
Yeah.
It's a resource management problem that they're trying to take over.
Cost and effect for these teams as Superstars do get a camp on top and are trying to take down the well too, so there's less of a possibility for reinitiation as easily for Team 8. But the Immortals have spawned. No team just yet moving into position. They are defensive positions for this spawn. Level 7 here, Medivh starting to stack Master's Touch. Quicksilver Bullets gives extra range to Greymane when in human form. A little bit easier to try to continue making sure that he does have Inner Beast continually active to attack quickly and bring down Immortals.
The last 2 Immortal spawns have been legendary for Team 8. The very first one, they lose somebody, it spawns right on top of 3 people rotating, and they're like, oh, thanks, we just somehow went 50-50. Actually won in Immortal. We had no chance of winning. And then the second one spawns at the 7 mark when Master's Touch comes online and Garang wants to dance around and poke, and in fact, he gets the opportunity to do so. You know, it's just, things could not be getting better here for Team 8 as the Immortals themselves have blessed them. Beautiful drag, good cleanse, and things are fine for now.
Srey had some aggressive positioning underneath the Immortals, forced in because of the placement of the stuns, but thankfully for him, there is no taunt yet. That'll be a different story once 10 hits for Team 8.
We see Goku doing exactly like we thought. Zeratul as that soft, you know, it's like a Dahaka response more than anything. Srey took a bit of damage. Goku onto the backline, starts onto Buds, but he teleports out. Not looking as good as he wanted. Halftime show gonna kick off here by Superstars. Ooh, good dodge on the drag there is gonna be vaulting out Hosty. Better spawn here for Superstars.
They're going to try to burn this as fast as they can. Glaurung shows up with portals for friends for defense yet again, and Dahaka is starting to amass a nice minion push there in the bottom lane. So Dahaka doing what he is intended, keeping teammate in this with experience too. As long as the rest of teammate can defend without losing too much more, they're right along to have heroic abilities. But unfortunately for them, if they can't start doing any damage to the red Immortal, they will be up against a very well shielded Immortal at around 10.
One of the biggest things to be looking at, like for instance, we just saw a portal being dropped by Glaurung that was to chase on to Zeratul. That kind of stuff is okay post 13, but pre 13, every portal Glaurung has to drop has to be very impactful, especially in that weird limbo of that 10 to 13, because then you actually do have the lockdown with the Varian to truly get those huge picks that you want. Your comp really comes online there, but again, you don't have the forgiving cooldown that you get at the 13 threshold. So Glaurung here in the middle part of the game, even pretty much that entire Immortal phase, it feels like the portals were more post-13 portals, if that makes any sense whatsoever, than they were pre-13 portals.
Heroic abilities come online for both of the teams. Leyline Seal this time. Sometimes Glaurung does like to pick Polybomb. It'll be Leyline Seal versus Void Prison. Time Stop versus Time Stop. There's a portal, Rain of Vengeance to catch Cure as he goes through, but a Force of Will there to save the day, make sure he doesn't take too much damage from that.
This is an interaction I've always liked the idea of in my head and how it plays out. Ooh, the Cocoon. Yoda. He's going to be fine with the Medivh shield. No portal needed here. And it only took one adaptation, so that was all. And teammate here is just going to be fine keeping that keep alive. But what I was talking about was the Leyline Seal 7-sided strike. Because Leyline Seal, I think, at least for me, is most relatable to Void Prison, right?
Yes.
I mean, all right, so it's just a straight line Void. But the biggest difference between Void and Leyline is the fact that Void, no matter how many people are in it, when they were hit, or anything like, all drop at once. Whereas that's not the case with Leyline. Oh, talking about...
7-sided strike.
That was, oh man, so pretty. The fact that it's like everybody just drops the portal, they casually die, get the kill, walk away before it looked like even a fourth shot went off. But it is the fact that everybody drops staggered, which makes 7-sided actually a thing around Leyline Seal, unlike Void Prison, because you drop it and you hit multiple targets and you're like, okay, that's not doing anything, but you know they're going to trickle in one by one by one, dropping out of this Leyline, making 7-sided more appealing of an option. Whether or not I think it's the go-to here, I mean, obviously Buds feels that way, but that's also North America just in general. We are the Leyline Seal region, minus about 2 supports we have.
Yeah, we've seen Buds
7-sided.
play both. So in this case, he can play the Palm, but wants to play 7-sided with potentially that interaction, potentially some other thing like drag as well. Could be a factor. Superstar is starting to siege down the fort here, knowing that
Goku just adjusting on a bit of a ride there. Talking about a ride, there goes the portal. The Leyline, they are about to go in, but the Void is going to land on top of 4 is the answer there. The 7-sided is already used. Hosi falling very low. Saray ended up getting the Ancestral Icona with the pre-cleanse, but it didn't matter. Go for the throat, gets the proc. Cure here, showing why he is a sub-4 teammate.
1 kill could not come at better timing as the Immortal phase has started to spawn. I thought everyone would be okay with the Leyline Seal and Void Prison, but alas, Superstar is losing Hosty yet again at the start of this phase, and teammate are starting to get more and more momentum going in this game. They've got 18 out of all of the shots they need for Master's Touch. They have 2 members taking down the Immortal of Superstars, knowing they can spread out a little bit better because Vala is just now spawning.
It's going to be the portal of the retreat. Halftime show here is completed thanks to Buds and Cure, some of the best racers in the game. It's all about this halftime show. Without 13 gain for either team, that bottom 4 should be able to swing Superstars into about 50-50 experience here as Goku's going to secure it. But it won't get him the 13 mark. Just matches them dead even there. So see what happens here. 13 mark is going to allow Glaurung's portals to be very, very forgiving. First taunt rotation comes up. Will Superstars try and capitalize on that cooldown? Doesn't look like it. 9 seconds for it to be back.
10 seconds until Void Prison. Leyline Seal already ready. Superstars watching how they group up. Talk has been soaking in the bottom lane. That gets 13 for Team 8. Portal is dropped. Superstars run back to the safety of their Immortal.
But we have the forgiving portal talent here now, and it's back off cooldown. Every portal pretty much has near 100% uptime. Only that small bit of downtime between casting, roughly a second. There goes the first taunt combo. Drew a cleanse from Iacona. So in 10 seconds, one portal combo just kills somebody. Almost 100%.
Faye is the one who's caught. Leyline Seal hits 2. They're grouping up. Goku's going to try to Void Prison to stop. 7-sided strike absorbed by Srey. Li Ming saved from the Void Prison. Srey hits an Impale to buy time too, knocking up, allowing Faye to get back. Ancestral Healing's been used. Hosty is low too, but Rain of Vengeance dropped as he retreats. No kills for either side. Superstars maintains their health through the initiation of Team 8, but the problem is they all had to back, and now Team 8 are going for their own Immortal, but Kier blown up.
But they got the kill on Kier. Does it cost Goku his life? Yes, Glarung is there for the finish. The Immortal ended up falling here to Team 8. The portal out. Yoda is going to be fine. No butt bite is too much for that, but they are not done. Srey with a 3-man burrow and knock up, just what they needed. And that is going to be 2 more members falling. 3, excuse me, and Team 8 now back against the wall. They do have the Immortal, though, going on top.
Mega play from Srey right there. Burrow, Impale, and 4 kills. But unfortunately for them, the Immortal was secured by Team 8, so they'll have to contend with dealing with that versus trying to get a keep down, the first keep of the game.
I was just admiring how much the Immortal hits for. Sorry, it's a small dread minigame in my mind. I don't know, whether or not it's a tool to actually improve, but I often do look at circumstances that we see, like for instance, we are looking at a 13-minute Immortal. When I ask you, how much damage does that actually do? You don't really know, you know? And so I spend a lot of time watching weird things like that, like judging the measurement of how much damage does it actually do. You know, like what is a Tyrael passive do to core, depending on what time of the game is it. You know, it adds up eventually. So I just saw you give me that stern look. I'm feeling insecure now.
That wasn't a stern look.
It wasn't stern. It was just like, what are you doing?
It was more like, what's going on in that brain? The wheels are turning. Share it with the world.
I always see, and every time we do that, you're just looking at me like you're thinking about something. Like, how do I share it? And I'm just like, do I really have to? Because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I wish I hadn't made the face. Also, Justin on this variant has had about 3 different charges that has been all kinds of wonky, just flying all over the place. Every time he does it onto the Shaman Camp on BOE, I just die a little bit on the inside, just watching him fling around that thing.
Like an amusement park. It's his own mini game.
It is a bit
Dread
of one.
has his mini game, so does Justin when he's playing variant.
I do it to damages of objectives and then experience gained, right? Is like how much experience, like that bottom 4. To a level 13 team, where does that match up? You know, how do you know? Because you have to be able to do those things properly to be able to gauge what is the most proper call. Because
yeah,
if you
and
know
what will
you can
get you
20 or something.
Whatever talent tier spike that you need.
And for now, the talent tier spike, in fact, is going to be 16 for a fraction of a second in favor of Superstars. As we've got ourselves in yet another Immortal phase here. 15 minutes into the game, these guys start chunking. We're looking at the point to where I guess they're technically lethal at like 8, but these are when 1 to 2 picks or just enough shielding is really all is going to take here. Superstars with the proper positioning, at least the advantageous positioning.
Yeah, the poke that they're able to do is a lot, but Leyline Seal is down, so is Void Prison. Yet again, those 2 abilities stacking up to amount to not a lot. One stops the other from being able to happen.
Hosty took a bit of damage, dropped the, oh man, Rain of Vengeance, and the Ancestral lands from Iacona after the portal play. Srey comes back, fighting, eating all of the 7-sided strike. He's going to be fine as his shielding was up the entire duration. We've got a game on our hands. All 5 heroics off cooldown, where it was only 3 here for Team 8. Justin goes around once again. The taunt in a Li Ming is already removed, but they get a counter kill here. Team 8 is not, health bar's looking too hot. Srey goes back in, getting value out of that epicenter.
Li Ming was annihilated from Team 8, but getting Greymane kill seals the deal for Superstars to be able to force this midway point. Goku is going to go in, but Srey has been playing out of his mind this game.
He has, and that portal has led them all to tap and get back, so Team 8 here is online. 4 versus 4. before the halftime show. There's going to be the portal attempt. Rain of Vengeance allows Hosty to be able to get his distance. That Rain of Vengeance, we talked about it in the last game, but in this one, it has saved Hosty so many times from the portal bomb composition teammates built.
And the Void Prisons against ley lines, too, it shows us that Superstars have a solid understanding of playing versus Glaurung's Medivh.
Yeah, and this type of draft that is so common out of Team 8. Leyline is already going to be used.
Yeah, that's the biggest deal there is that 7-sided strike is dropped 2. Vala's already out. Faye gets back, has teleport. But the biggest deal here is that Leyline Seal does have a lower cooldown from Void Prison. So if you force Void Prison from that, you are going to have Leyline back before Void Prison is back too. If they can take advantage of that small amount of time, and they did there, Team 8 are able to get those kills from that.
They did, but they only got 1 kill, and they've lost so much damage onto the Immortal itself. With Zeratul having the Void Prison up, I wouldn't be surprised if Superstars realizes this and looks to try and get a force. We'll find out. They keep dancing around. The 3-man defense squad of Team 8 is scary enough. And the Eternal Portal that Glaurung now has is a very terrifying tool. Yoda takes a bit of damage. Goku has to get the teleport out. Cure is rotated away from the Immortal, looking to join the rest of the team down for the fight. Taunt goes on to Saray. He burrows away.
Vala's back up. Leyline Seal still needs about 20 seconds. Goku's checking to see, sharking around, sneaking in for a Void Prison.
Greymane has restored the HP, almost a dead 50. Superstars, it says, time up, we're going in, we're gonna do this. Cocoon's drop, 7-sided straight. Takes a lot of damage, but there is the Ancestral to keep him up, and the rest of the Immortal falling to Superstars. The Void to counter the Leyline. Iacona with that knock-up. Superstars is gonna walk away fine and dandy here. All 5 members having just below 50% HP left on that shielding. Things are looking good. Superstars somehow pulling that together after an amazingly well-played rotation for Team 8.
Yeah, a long bout of fighting, too. Back and forth with abilities, but Superstars have impressed me so much in their playing around Glaurung's Medivh. So many teams have struggled with this Medivh play in the past from Glaurung. Superstars ready to bring it versus that composition, the Medivh variant of Legend of Team 8's. Stray burrows in, bringing down the small wall and the gate.
There's the other portal. Rain of Vengeance again, buying time for Hosty. Drops the taunt, but it's just Justing who goes through. Trying to scare off Superstars from getting this keep, and it's working so far as the Immortal's going to fall before the keep itself. Damage coming out. Oh man, Buds using the way of 100 fits and getting himself a kill there onto Vala. Can they get anything else out of this situation? Faye, this is the wrong side of the battlefield. If you could return to your own, I think your team would appreciate it.
There was no more Rain of Vengeance charges, and portals finally spelled the end of Hosty there. No keep taken out. So important that Team 8 were able to keep their keep alive. And now getting mercenary camps to ensure that this lane stays pushed out toward the structures of Superstars.
Once again, Superstars capturing a intentionally ill-timed Shaman camp. We'll see if they can make a rotation to capitalize on it. It looks like their answer is going to be forcing through bottom. More just making that rotation. You know Dahak is looking for that clean clear while Goku's scouting everything. They know he's there. 3 pings go down. Teammate doesn't care. It looks like they are just going to make this rotation, even start the camp up. Patient play here this late.
Once Team 8 deal with the Shaman camp top, they'll have Bruisers, the Shaman, pushing in the bottom. They are slightly ahead, getting further so, about halfway to Storm Talents. The start of this is going to be rough for Superstars, unless maybe they can make something happen right here, or they get to 20 as fast as they can. They see Dahak on the top.
Superstars has a small window where 20 is not there, and they're going to spend that time, what looks like, on the Immortal. Do we see the lane line force post 20? I think it's inevitable. Even with that Shaman camp pressuring out on bottom too, Superstars has to figure out what they want to do here, and neither option is necessarily one where they're going to have an advantage, not a winning one. They spend this time to clear out the Shaman camp down below. Lucky spawning of the Immortal for them to be in a defensive positioning to where they can make that rotation out after the Shaman camp's cleared. Saray's going to start, trying to buy time.
This is Superstars fighting versus 20 Storm Talons. There's Medivh cheats. Leyline Seal picks 2. Taunt goes down along with 7-sided strike. Burrow out with cleanse, keeps Saray alive.
That was 4 heroics and nobody ended up dying for Superstars. Saray, the ancestral cocoon combo, keeps him up. And they are going to be fine here. Still no 20. Rain of Vengeance going on to Justin. He's going to shield wall out.
That was just about as close as it gets for Saray. Rain of Vengeance and Void Prison. Can Superstars capitalize after this is done? Saray throws 2 up in the air.
Team 8 just focusing onto the Immortal. They don't even really care. Superstars is going to forfeit the rest of the shielding. And this is a 50% shield Immortal. 20 advantage. Superstars will not have 20. Even with Goku's... that wave on top's actually pretty big. They'll be able to pick up the 20.
Yeah, that is a nice wave. Goku clears it out fast. He goes back home with the rest of his family. So a 20 versus 20 fight. Defense for Superstars must be perfect here. And they do not have Void Prison.
Needs to be near flawless. And I just expect one portal to seal the deal. 5 members of Team 8 are joining us here on bot. Wind's going to move. There's the first portal. Nothing to be gained. Second portal in a couple of seconds. Cocoon comes out for Saray. Cure is already broken out very quickly there.
That's one. Buds and Justin leading the front. Flowering throws the portal down.
Only hit 1 target though, and Hosi dashes right out. That's the 7-sided. The Immortal is pretty low in HP. This isn't game, at least not yet. Team 8 goes in. There is going to be the first burrow. The Immortal is already killed before the shielding goes down. There is going to be the Storm Shield. Saray goes down as the shielding sitting now at 94% HP, but they get the counter kill. The reset for Faye.
Team 8 are hanging around. But Goku now has Void Prison. Can he stop the members of Team 8 from leaving? Singularity Spike. Team 8 felt the wind off of that one, but it does not connect, so Team 8 will get away with just losing the 1.
But Team 8 did get the first keep of this game and has a bit of damage onto the core. Post-20 things, I mean, I guess we haven't truly seen a post-20 fight outside of that panic onto the core at the very end there, but we'll see how that affects the next actual open 5 versus 5 skirmish. When we have 20 seconds for the other members of each team to spawn, it's just going to be painting the map their team's respective colors and waiting it out, because 1 Immortal is all it takes, and that is going to be GG. I mean, there's about... I've seen weirder things, but there's about 0% chance the next Immortal is not game. We have only 1 keep on the side of Superstars.
Yes.
We've got barely 1 keep, if you call the bottom keep a keep, with that low of HP for Team 8, and top is seeing some damage itself.
Bottom lane cleared out as far as Superstars can push it to make sure they have enough time to be able to contend with whatever goes down in the middle of Battlefield of Eternity, because it will go down. Cure clearing out the Shaman.
Have you noticed every Shaman camp by Superstars mistimed? Every camp by Team 8 perfectly timed. I don't know if it's a map philosophy or what, but either way, that is going to be another threat. Moving those catapults, help escorting those to the core. Goku will be able to snipe the bottom keep, but he's going to show on the map. What does Team 8 do now that he is shown there? The answer, in fact, is nothing. They're going to keep the creepy Dahaka up on top, escort that pressure in. The bottom catapults plus the Shaman camp is going to create pressure. Team 8 doesn't need to force anything.
Oh, taunt hits Li Ming. Cleanse already having to be used, as well as Cocoon, which Team 8 busts their teammates out of.
Balla has gone back to be able to respond towards that camp.
Everyone's having to back. Yeah. And this has been seen now. Team 8 are fully committed to the Immortal, just burning it down to the halfway health point. And this is a positioning that is, you know, you're scared to walk into because it's defensive for your opponent. So taking this down because of the pressure is a great move by teammate.
It really is, but this is the secondary part of this Immortal is really all that's going to matter. Again, teammate still will have catapult pressure a long ways from now that the bottom wave has been cleared. But we'll have catapult pressure building up, something that Superstars eventually would have to respond to, except there goes the ley line seal. Medivh cheats, gets a cook. Goku got pressure onto the backline. Sray looks like he's trying to get the disengage, but he drops a 3-man Void.
No follow-up for Void Prison though. Sray and the rest of Superstars just want to reposition. So those two time stop heroics we use. That is catapult. Sray jumps into. They're going after him. Rain of Vengeance drops 2. 7-sided strike though. Buys Butts time to escape.
There's the Ancestral though, resetting Goku's HP back to 100% HP. Falling a bit low on mana, something he might need. Justing on retreat, drops it. Burrow does not land onto Buds, but they catch Yoda instead. Goku threw out that damage, but he cannot finish this off. Teams have to go back to their base, restore the resources here so they can keep this brawl up, the eternity fight here in the middle part of the map.
Such a tense moment for these teams, especially Superstars. They've already lost
Goku's
a
in
key.
base.
Portal's there. Taunt comes back. Hosty is the one who was in trouble again.
That was go for the throw. It didn't get the proc either. That means that there are a lot less execution when it comes to the team fight here. That 7-sided strike's about as big of a burst as we have on the roster of Team 8 without go for the throw. So now Superstars may have a realistic team fight for themselves to be able to take. You even see it, Dahaka restoring back to the top lane. Everybody is kind of like, all right, well, that was the end of that. We can't fight, at least not yet. And now Superstars is going to try and force the issue, looking towards the Immortal.
There's a possibility for another Cocoon play, and Sray knows it. Starting to look around, see where you can find. Leyline Seal hits a whole lot of people. Cocoon going to try to do what he can to keep his team safe, and it'll be enough. Sray making it through again. Superstars.
The Cocoon as a counter momentum there to the Leyline Seal has worked so very well for Superstars here in this game. Dahaka going back to bottom lane. And Nubarak actually managed to get a free back without losing any damage on the Immortal itself. That is a huge win. Whenever you can do that in the late game, you can come back, and you didn't lose anything, you're like, oh, thank you so much.
We are approaching a 30-minute Battlefield of Eternity game, in game number 2 of this series. Superstars not willing to go down 2-0 in this series. Can they deal enough with the Medivh taunt? There was the taunt. Cleanse gets Goku out.
Cleanse gets him out, but Garong and Kira are falling very low. Yoda goes in for the dive into the back, drops the adaptation, but he hits the... Oh, man, the Ancestral actually lands. The Cocoon is the countermeasure here. 7-sided strike drops, ends up hitting Sray. Taunt going on to Hosty. Do they have the damage? No. Once again, Superstars buys a moment with the Void.
This is Void, but Cure's inside. Sray and Hosty would love to get that kill on Greymane, but it just isn't to be had. The counter momentum on either side has always been enough to keep the teams kicking, but no one can seem to get this final Immortal.
Team 8 moves up, gets a lot of damage. Goku isn't there to peel away. Void's up in 70 seconds. Leyline Seal is online. The portal is going to make the members of Team 8 be able to back away for now. So Superstars is rotating up to theirs. They'll see the HP dropping. What does Team 8 do? They go defensive. They drop a Leyline blind. What can they get out of it?
It's Goku and Sray are the only ones left. Sray doing everything he possibly can. Then Burrows out, shielding.
Hosty goes down. That was all they needed. Way of 100 fists ripping through Faye. Cure is on the chase. Icona manages to butt bite himself away onto the Immortal. Can they finish the Immortal at least? No! 1.5k HP. Sray panics. He's going to move up. Goku goes in too. So
it's
the
not
Immortal,
going to matter.
with 3 members dead?
Yeah.
You're probably right.
There's 25 seconds until Void 2, and it's only a Nubarak and Zeratul, and it's a 30-minute game on Battlefield of Eternity. Team 8 finally figure out the right fight, getting a kill on Hosty, chasing down Li Ming, and then Iacona desperate to get the Immortal.
Getting the shielding there. This looks like it is going to be it. Not having damage to get the picks. Team 8 takes game number 2.
It was not an easy win, but it will be a win for Team 8.
Even with Cure.
Yep.
Cure looked comfortable. The composition looked comfortable. Superstars looked more than comfortable. Honestly, with the draft trying to deal with the composition of Team 8 that was rather predictable. We've seen it from them over and over and over again. But it was a different flavor to finding, you know, a pause button to deal with that Portal Deathball comp.
This is the second time that Superstars have drafted a composition in Part 2 where they feel like they have figured out the answers for an opponent.
First
like
was Sylvan Braxis.
Yes, Gale Force Esports drafting Sylvanas versus the Zagara split push. But in this case, it was like every time, yes, they're able to stop it, but it only takes one time of not being able to do it, and everything just crumbles. And that happened to be 30 minutes in when Team 8 were already controlling the Immortal phase to that point.
That is actually one of the arguments as to when we experienced a Tronda meta. Why was Tronda so deadly? It wasn't because the threat of what the hero pulls itself. It's because of how short and frequent you can run it, which is where Varian, for instance, kind of falls in the same department. It's like, yeah, you can stop my taunts all day. The problem is every cooldown you have to stop it is much longer than taunts itself, and the frequency is what makes, you know, that composition more forgiving.
Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch that game and try to count that down, because you'd see a cleanse, you'd be like, okay, but taunt was shorter, and then you'd see a void to stop a ley line. It's like, okay, but ley line is shorter.
Yeah.
So in the end, Team 8 still able to clutch it out, but it was an amazing try by Superstars to stop that. It does put Superstars down 2 games, though, in the series. When we come back from this break, game number 3.
You know, I've been in more scrapes and adventures than I can count. That being said, I've never seen anything like this.
Hail, hero.
Is that a